Well, I've come along to MIFA's offices here in the Isle of Man. It's all about football with Malcolm Blackburn, of course. Press releases and information has been coming thick and fast, Malcolm. I mean, we're going to have this little few games with Alderney, and that's already expanded. This is all ahead, of course, of what's going to happen in Hungary. Do you want to take us through how it's expanded? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, originally Chris Bass for the Ellen Vannon team wanted a couple of friendlies. Alderney came forward and said they'd like to play us over here. We thought with the fact that they were in the Island Games, it would give a chance for the lads possibly who were going to meet them out there in Jersey. And then Canifa spoke to us and said, you know, look, there's these teams that aren't in the Euros. Obviously, Alderney isn't, but Punjab, being an Asian team, and Felvedek, who missed out on going to the Euros this year, would you hold a tournament on the Isle of Man? And we'll actually as well give it the status that the winner will automatically qualify for the World Cup next year. Now, when you look at it from Ellen Vannon's point of view, they're going to the Euros, but there's only sure 3 places from the Euros that qualify for the World Cup from the European section. So it gives us like another, well, a golden ticket, if you want to call it, to give us a chance to qualify. Obviously, the other thing side of this is it's massive for the charity. Neve Challenge Cup, as we're all playing for, is the Neve Next Step charity, which is involved in raising the awareness and research into neuroblastoma, which is a very aggressive type of child cancer. And what is even more, you know, absolutely delighted over is that Neve's mother and father, Chris and Sam Curry, and her sister Hannah, coming over to the whole of the tournament and will be presenting the trophies and meeting the team. They're an amazing family. You know, they've gone through obviously a very extremely difficult time with the death of Neve as a 5-year-old, and that, you know, in her memory that they've actually generated something that's amazing. I was looking at our Twitter account this morning, and through the charity, there's people like Darren Goff, Tubes from Soccer AM, retweeting all the stuff on the challenge. I think it's reached over 4 million people this morning. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the awareness through that, I think we've also, through the charity, they got a sponsor. We're wearing a special one-off kit for the match, which is got Neve's name on the back of the kit, plus it's done in the sort of pink and white colours of the charity. And that's been sponsored by MGM, Gym in Marbella. Which again, through the charity, it's just amazing the links internationally this has gone. We've then seen stuff coming in from the Punjab, people saying proud to be Sikhs and representing their country. We've had stuff in from Slovakia, where the Felvedek team are based. Again, it's just blown us away.
Okay, well, this whole thing with Canifa is all these different places around the world who unite. And okay, so we've got this event on the Isle of Man, which in itself, given that incentive now to get to the golden tickets, you say.
That's right.
But let's talk about Hungary. I mean, the big event, which, I mean, this has been a bit of a moving around. It was the Isle of Man, it was going to be in London and the Isle of Man, then it was going somewhere else. Are you happy that it's all definitely sorted?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it has been an absolute nightmare, Paul. One thing I've got to say about Canifa, many other organisations would have said enough is enough, but the volunteers that work behind Canifa, they just will not let something go. And we had all the logistical issues with the Isle of Man and the TT week, and impossible to get teams over. Then when we went to London, we still had difficulties down in London trying to get the profile. And then, of course, Hungary came good. So Segligfold and said, look, we'll do it here. They looked at it. Originally, we were talking about possibly in Budapest. And they said, look, you know, we can do a better tournament by taking it to our sort of cultural city of Debrecen, which is about an hour from Budapest. Let's go there. And looking at the facilities, I mean, I'm just blown away. I mean, you know, Ellen Vannon, when it goes out there, staying in a 5-star hotel with saunas, steam rooms, swimming pools, which is all paid for by the Hungarian Association. It's immense, and that hotel is 200 metres from the stadium where Ellen Vannon will be playing.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're talking about the whole thing. This time last year, we're building up to Sweden. I mean, who'd have ever thought? I mean, it was TT, wasn't it? Time
it
actually?
Was exactly the same time.
Same time again. I mean,
Yeah.
It's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, it's a difficult journey all the time. I mean, it's trying to. I mean, the hard thing for me is being on the Isle of Man. Internationally, Conifer and its the knowledge of Conifer is growing massively. We still seem to be struggling with actually getting the message and getting the understanding of what is going on actually here on the island. We talk about the Neve Challenge Cup, that will be a fantastic 2-day tournament on the Isle of Man. It's going to be a family day. We thought with the charity involvement, we wanted to make it more of a sort of family affair with entertainment for children and that type of thing. 2 days solid. Now that internationally has gone massive, but so far on the Isle of Man, I know it's only been released for a day, it's quite quiet. And again, we've got to raise awareness of all of this. We are sort of, how do you say, outside the box.
And you're jiggling with players that have got other commitments. I mean, the Ireland Games is just in the middle of this as well, isn't it? That's going to put a lot of pressure on some of the players, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, the Ireland Games and the situation for the players is, I think, quite difficult, and obviously quite difficult as well for both managers. But, we didn't set the date. We originally, or Conifer originally, wanted the tournament, the Euros, held at the end of July, which certainly would have been a lot easier for the Isle of Man to host it. But the Isle of Man FA had other plans and asked us to relocate the dates to the week straight after TT, which in hindsight I wish I hadn't agreed to, because it certainly would have made everything a lot simpler, but we did agree to it. We were trying to be reasonable. But now, of course, I think realisation has hit that basically we've got players in Hungary that then get off a plane on the way back, and within 4 days are off to Jersey.
And these are people who've got real jobs as well, that they've got to jiggle their
That's the other
situation.
I mean, obviously with the Conifer trip, or the trip to the Euros, that is separately funded. The players aren't absolutely having to pay anything towards that. But as you said, they're right. Some of them are self-employed. Some of them are missing weeks off work. Some of them have got, their holiday allocation. I'm sure there's girlfriends and wives not very happy that they're away from home for so long.
I mean, I wasn't really going into this direction initially, but there's been a bit of friction between these two groups. I mean, are you sorted? You do work together okay now with the FA?
I don't think it's a case now of working together as such. I think both organisations have come to a realisation that we're both doing our own thing. I think one steps on the other's toes, somebody's going to say something, but generally I think we just got to try and survive alongside each other. We're doing something different. I mean, what the FA are doing at the moment is another direction that they're going in with obviously the new managership of Nick Hurt and Rick Olden, which we applaud. I mean, all we're all after doing, if you look at the basics, was providing additional opportunities for Manx football players.
And going back to Sweden, who could have imagined how much patriotism there was out there, and waving of flags, and it really did do a boost in it for Isle of Man PLC, I think.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see that again even more so. It's quite interesting. I've had 2 communications this week from players that are not based on the Isle of Man, both play with professional contracts, and reading what they've written, there's actually an article coming out in the Irish press, I think next Tuesday, from one of the players that will be playing for Ellen Vannon in Hungary, and seeing what it's the first time it came home to me what it meant to him to represent, as he saw it, his country, and the words he says in this article certainly do get to you. And then there's another lad who broke into Celtic's first team this year, Kieran Turney. And Kieran was very keen to come to the Euros, but unfortunately he broke his ankle during the season. He managed to get back into the first team and sort of came on as some cameo roles as a substitute, but has been advised by Celtic to give it a complete rest over the summer. So he sent me like an apologetic email that this is a professional footballer playing in the highest league in Scotland, apologising to me that he couldn't represent his country and what it meant to him, and that 100% in the future he will play for Ellen Vannon. And I'm thinking, we're suddenly getting there. Okay. The lads are beginning to understand that we can have our own identity. We are Manx.
Will people get a chance to see the games in Hungary, and will there be an audience there to see it, do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm hearing a lot about what's going on with the TV at the moment, and I do believe that the games will be all live streamed. There's various negotiations going on with TV companies and Hungarian national companies, which I'm sort of on the side of. But it looks like everything will be live streamed as it was from Sweden. 18 matches, 4 matches a day, so it's quite a heavy schedule. And yeah, I think that will again get the interest back on the Isle of Man. But again, you got to look at that interest was short-lived. It was for a few days. What we've got to try and do with what we're doing is try and keep that interest going throughout the year rather than it dying. And obviously a lot of that interest was created by success. Will it be the same interest if Ellen Vannon don't qualify from the group to the semi-finals and finals? We're fickle, aren't we? We love to support when things are going well and struggle when it's not going so well.
Okay, finally, you got more plans in the pipeline for other events after the Euros?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that's coming up for Canifa and me is that we've been invited to the European Commission next week in Brussels to meet Mr. Hovarth, who is a cabinet minister of the European Union and involved in the sports, leisure, culture and heritage side. And that is an amazing contact. If we can get the European Union on sort of board with what we're doing, it opens up a lot of doors, not just from a financial point of view, but assistance in holding of tournaments and things like that. Canifa has expanded in the last month into South America. So that's now opened up doorways for tournaments in Brazil and Chile and what have you. Cascadia, North America, Quebec have become active. It's sudden Oceania, we've got that going on, and of course we've got an Ellen Vannon player now down in Australia at the moment who's just signed up a.
So you're positive about the future, anyway?
The future could be amazing, but it'll always come down to finance, Paul, and it's the case of whatever happens. We've got to get people behind it, and I'm sorry, but it does come down to money.